Hey y'all, welcome back to For the Fans, where tonight we are so excited to talk about the second HOH competition of BBCAN 11. Woo woo! And we're going to get all into the aftermath of the John Michael eviction, check in on Canada's favorite showmance,
No.
and just have an all around great time here outside of the BBCAN Manor. So, Sheldon, Ryan, how are you both doing tonight?
I am getting a little sick, but Ryan is getting the opposite.
Yeah, I'm getting on the mend. Had my tonsils taken out, so I'm doing a reverse Sheldon right now.
There
Love
we
it.
go.
We're
We're all
healing.
making
We're
it.
good. We're
We're all making it. And I mean, I've not gotten to talk any BB Can yet this season. So I'm excited to get to share my thoughts because, I've got some opinions about some things and about
Uh-oh.
some folks.
What did I do now?
So it's always great to get to talk and speak my mind. So let's just dive into this. What are you going to say, Sheldon?
I was just going to say both of you haven't spoken about BBCAN just yet. So, I'm wondering, what are your overall opinions? We're about a week and a half, 2 weeks in. Overall thoughts about what's going on this season, the quality of the show. Where are y'all?
Okay, I'll give you like 5 hot takes. 1, House is amazing. 2, Roberto is gorgeous. 3, Arissa stays killing it. 4, we're not here for the bros. And 5, how do y'all have so many accents in the country of Canada?
Okay, very good. Right.
that just took my breath away. I think that was like the perfect way to describe
Straight
this
off the
season.
dome. Straight off the
5
dome.
points. Yeah. My only comment is I watched like the first 4 minutes with my mom. John Michael walks on screen. She says he's getting voted out first, and that's it. And then she walks away. So
Yeah, I'm really sad about that. I'm disappointed in Canada for not saving him because even in like episode 2, you can kind of see how the season's shaping up because you do see the bros coming together and John Michael explicitly saying, almost said illicitly, explicitly saying that he would be going to the
Arressedly.
bros.
Arressedly.
So I just wish Canada would have used the Bel Air Direct safety vote to save John Michael. Just
Yeah,
saying, y'all dropped the ball.
except it was John Michael's fault.
Yeah.
Well,
he.
sure, but we don't blame. We don't take account for our actions here. We
Well, I
only
do.
talk.
Because,
We only
look,
talk on the
I was
positives.
pissed. I was pissed that John Michael left. I think he would have been a fantastic player, fantastic character. Even if he probably wouldn't have made the merge, in truth, if he would have continued doing what he was doing, just as Zach will probably not make the merge. But not the merge, the jury phase. Wrong show.
They
I
merged from one house
genuinely thought
to
we had
one
hopped into
house.
Survivor
Yeah.
for a second.
But he was just a lot of entertainment and fun. And look,
Yeah.
he went to the guys and said, he went to the guy, the alpha of the alphas, and said, if I'm the one who gets this, I'm gonna go for y'all. Like what are they supposed to do? Is he gonna
Sure.
what's right? That was he created a risk for himself that was fundamentally unnecessary if he just shut his mouth. It was his fault.
Absolutely. You're completely right. But
Like, Kylie, I know that you're Sheldon's #1 ally right here, but just to let you know, even though Sheldon's HOH, I'm going to say to your face that I'm targeting you.
okay, perfect. You gotta go.
Well, that's what happened.
So
Sorry,
I'm not
can I
saying
just
that
say one
y'all are
thing?
wrong. I'm saying that Canada should have helped a brother out. All right, here we
Also,
go.
who has accents? What are you talking about?
Literally everybody, they all have accents and they're all different.
Yeah, but
I actually
a
kind
lot
of
of-
agree with that.
what?
You got the
And-
Newfie accent with Jonathan. Kuzi's got that South African accent,
but-
Zimbabwe accent. Hope's got a
Hope
bit of an
has an
accent as
accent.
well.
Claudia
They're
has
all
an
sorts of- yeah.
accent.
Yeah, but you guys have accents too in America. What are you talking about?
That's
you go
true.
back
I guess
to-
But I feel like, after just watching Survivor, 15 minutes ago, I feel like I don't
Spoilers.
listen to Survivor and hear all the different accents. And so, it's not a bad thing. It's fascinating.
Of course.
So,
Well, no, I actually love those accents. It makes me happy. It's
yeah,
a
and
big
it
part of
just
having that.
shows, it shows the diversity that BB Can casts. So we're here for that.
Accents.
All right, here we go. So let's just, the intro where they're like, previously on Big Brother Canada, I mean, that is already a terrible setup for what is about to happen, because my 6th hot take and the number 1 hot take is that Zach is a dick, and he's playing the shit out of the game, but he is terrible, terrible, and
And how is he
then
terrible? Like as a human?
well, I mean, I can't say because once again, we're not getting live feeds. So you have to assume that we're getting the best. You know what I mean? Like you have to think that they're probably showing us the best of these people. And for Zach to be like, I'm really smart. I know this game.
Let me take out some gummies.
Let me take out some dummies. Let me show you this tier system. I'm in a relationship too, but if I need to get with a girl, I will. Yeah, so just not a fan at all. So it's setting up that we're going to get a lot of Zach in this episode, and we do. And so that's terrible. I mean, he's playing hard, and I love to have someone to root against. And so I'm fully rooting against Zach, but way to come out here and play.
That's the one thing that I'm wondering about, like Mr. Mansplain over here. Like literally every single conversation that we see is him mansplaining something. And then it cuts the confessional of that person saying, yeah, I know he's mansplaining to me, but I'm going to do everything that he says. And just the part that I don't know is because we're not getting the live feeds. Are they only showing us the spicy bits, wanting us to hate him as a villain? Because everyone in the house seems to love him. So I don't know if there's some side that we're not seeing there, or if it is all just mansplain 100%.
Right. I mean, it's completely an edited show at this point. I mean, even the digital dailies, which I'm not watching, I'm reading recaps of. But, even in the digital dailies, you're still getting just a minute portion of, 14 people, or however many people are left. Yeah, 14 people and of their day. And you're just getting little bitty tiny portions. So everything that you see, you have to take with a grain of salt. But
my problem about Zach, other than he's a dick and a douche and every D word that you could think of, is that the thing about, if you watch any movie, any screenplay, any show, anything, you want the evil character to be evil due to something, due to some emotional strife they've been to, due to something that they're trying to get over. And my problem with Zach is that they, at least in the show, have not shown us that he is a human. He is a robot. And he is emotional, but he acts just like a villain without any purpose but to act like a villain. So I'm waiting for an episode where like we get some tears, we get some stories. Like I do not understand. He can't live his life the way he does. Like we are missing something. We are not seeing something about him.
I mean, I don't even remember where he's from because
Ottawa.
That's what I thought. But I mean, he's the Kim
Broco,
Kardashian
Canada.
of Ottawa. So I mean,
Kim
you should know
Kardashian.
him. All right. Well, we're going to pick up this episode post John Michael eviction. All the girls are just in tears and they are so upset because this was so terrible. They didn't want to do this, yet they all went along with the plan. Now, we get a confessional from Renee, and she says it was way too early to draw a line in the sand. And I'm like, no, baby, like week 1 is where all of the dynamics for the game are set up. But we're going to give Renee a little bit of a pass because she is on the block. And she couldn't have a line drawn in the sand because it might have been her ass getting voted out. But for everybody else, no, you have to draw a line in the sand week 1 or you are just going to be playing from the bottom the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can't disagree with that. And I just do not understand why the rest of the ladies, why, even Daniel, like Vanessa, like I just don't understand why they didn't step up and say, we see what's going on. Like
they had the numbers that they really wanted
for hours. Like,
Yeah.
Come on. Like, they have to do something. I don't get it. And especially with the fact that, look, especially in the first half of the seasons of Big Brother, the comps are more physical than they are mental. So look at these guys. They're not me. Like they're not big guys that aren't going to win anything. These are guys that are going to keep on winning. So you are just waiting to be picked off until they implode and go against.
Right. I mean, if you can't win the competitions, you have to at least win the numbers.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what's most important in the game anyways.
I'm not convinced though that they could have swayed it, because I know for the TV edit, they give you here are like 6 obvious numbers that we could sway this way. But at the same time, Claudia is doing this whole thing with Ty. She probably would have wanted to vote with him anyway, and Ty was only going to vote one way. And we also hear this episode, we don't see it at all beforehand, but Dan saying that he's really close with Vanessa. maybe Vanessa wouldn't have voted him out, in which case they couldn't have gotten votes on Renee. And that's like one of the votes that we were counting in that. So maybe it wasn't possible.
I don't disagree with you, except the truth is Vanessa seems to be nowhere in this game. So I feel like if anybody offers her an alliance, she's going. Like nobody wants to play, so she's like, me. I'll take any offer. I'll take any. Hell, if Zach comes after her, she'll take it. Like, I don't know.
But we also get Kuzi talking, and she is not happy that she voted John Michael out. She did not want to do that, and she says she's not going to vote with the house again. And so I'm like, yes, please. Like, we don't want to see straight house votes, no matter what. Like, stand up for what you want, vote how you want to vote. It's your vote. And I mean, like, if you know it's going to be 11-0, then yes, come on, somebody throw a vote. Like, cause some paranoia. You all could have afforded 2 or 3 of them. So, come on.
I have to say, I love Kuzi, and I think that I want more of her. We haven't seen enough of her, and we are getting confessionals with her every single week.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm waiting for her to actually come into her own and start playing, because she does seem to be a little bit more like taking it slow the first few weeks, which might be right. But I think Kuzi has the ability and the brains and the strategic mind to actually potentially win this game. I have a lot of faith in her and her abilities. I also think she's going to be like an amazing character at some point.
Oh yeah,
she's fun. Seen it yet. Like, and there's a lot behind that beautiful eyes.
I think we actually are seeing a lot from Kuzi. We're just not seeing the typical strategy, big alliance thing. She's really focusing on connections. Like you see her cheering up Hope when he's crying in the cereal room. You see her one-on-one conversation with Vanessa where like, we're nowhere, but I've got you. You see her like one-on-one conversations with every individual person.
Good point.
And you can tell that everyone is starting to feel close with her. So although she's not like, this is my alliance, I don't think anyone's coming after her anytime soon. And she's setting up the seeds that she can grow and say, hey, we need to do this because they're the threat.
Yeah. I think you're right. My question, I guess, is when do you have to stop seeding and when do you have to grow? Like at some point she has to actually take some action. And I'm a little bit worried that all her friends and all her allies are going to run away.
Or get voted out.
Get voted out is what I mean, before she has time to see the fruits of her labor.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this HOH comp, which we had gotten the start of it at the end of the eviction episode. And this looks crazy hard. And once again, crazy hard in terms of just endurance. But, this is once again a competition that is probably going to be a little bit favored to the males. Thank you so much, BBCAN 11. Thank you so much, Survivor. Can we please just continue these trends? Love them. They almost immediately are like, we're not even going to focus on the girls because they're not going to win. And so we get it as a race coming down to we've got Hope with his strategy of he's going to hit all the 10s and they're easy. So he's going to make it every time. And we got Dan over here. Who's Dan? Oh, okay. There's a Dan in this game. He's going for the big shots. Roberto's going for the big shots. But ultimately, after an hour of them running in the circle, y'all, this is hard.
At that point.
Could y'all have done that for an hour?
Oh, absolutely. Recess was my favorite school subject.
Well, I mean, I like
there are slides, there are basketballs. I don't understand what's not to like about this comp.
It looks fun. It would be way more fun if it was 15 minutes, not an hour, because that's about the time I could probably survive.
Yeah, what I don't get is that last week's comp was more of a physical challenge. I don't need another physical challenge this soon after. It's kind of strange to me. It's kind of unfair, but I like the challenge.
I disagree with that because the last HOH was a puzzle. It
was a puzzle that required them to move things up and go down and walk around.
It wasn't super physical. It was multi-elemented. And then the veto was more so physical. This is sort of flipping it the other way around. Maybe we'll see a more strategic veto. So give different players opportunities to win HOHs versus veto.
Okay.
We'll see. All right.
The thing that actually surprised me about this, folks, is this. the actual results.
Yeah, so let's get into that because I definitely had that in my notes. Top 6 are males, and
Yeah.
then all but one Zach, male finishes in the top 6, and then the whole bottom half are basically females. So, I mean, there is clearly something that they missed in their planning of this. Like, this can't be the results that they are hoping for. It cannot.
I will say though that I find it hilarious that in 4 comps against all these different people, Renee has somehow found her way to come in last place in every single one of them.
My girl. And I mean, she looks
comp
like she
least
should
of the
be decent
season.
at things, and she's not. She's bad. She's bad at all.
Yeah,
So,
I was a little
yeah.
bit surprised at some of the results. I didn't understand. Hope and Daniel Clark were 60 points apart. You look at Hope, and I'm just like, you are going to be running up and down those steps 6 times as fast as Daniel. Like I don't
Yeah, he
understand.
had such a terrible strategy.
It
Like,
was the tens,
clearly,
the tens, the tens.
if they make a 30-point basket, then you've got to make the whole loop 3 times.
Yeah.
And, if they make 5 and you've made 5 tens, like, you're just so far behind. And then over the course of an hour, you clearly see the results of, like, it doesn't matter how many times you go up and down there, you had to shoot some bigger targets.
I'll also say that like there were some serious groupings here. You have Dan S and Rob that were in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You have Pi, who's like a level below at 1700. Then you got this grouping of Jonathan, Hope, Daniel, and Kuzi all together. And then Shania and the rest of the girls are pretty close. Shania was 770, Renee at 345. So I don't know. There was these strange groupings. I have to say, again, big props to Kuzi because, 1,000 points. Daniel Clark was 1,100. Hope, the big muscular. I've never seen a guy like that in my life with 1,160. Like she got pretty close to him. I don't know.
Yeah. But ultimately, as you see, Dan is our winner. And at first, I'm like, okay, this isn't terrible. Like, he was on the block last week. He is probably not going to just want to keep things going in the same trajectory that they were. And so I was like, okay, it's never a bad thing when you see somebody that was kind of on the bottom last week to rise to power.
But
what's going to happen?
And look, I think
Zach attack.
But this is, however much we do not enjoy him, this is the magic of Zach. Zach has some kind of way. We didn't see it last week, but he's very part of the reason why Dan was on the block last week. While he was putting him on the block last week, he also had the ability to make best friends with Dan and make him ride or die.
Number 1 allies. What?
Right? And look, there's a point where you say, okay, well, maybe Dan isn't that smart. Maybe Santina isn't that smart. But not everybody in the house could be like, it's not them not being smart enough or not being, have the ability to see. He's just really good at manipulating. Like, he's really good to get into somebody's mind.
Yeah. I mean, he is good. And if that is what he brings to his job, well, then he probably is not lying. He is probably successful because he is finding early success in the Big Brother house.
The part that doesn't make sense to me is that he's telling everyone, yo, Dan says I'm his number 1. We're good guys. And like he did the same thing like last week. He was like, yo, John Michael is in love with me. I'm like his number 1. And he's like, he thinks he's everyone's number 1. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong. But I just don't get how he can publicly say it to everyone and have everyone go.
I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm getting from Zach. I'm getting very, very big Jackson Mickey vibes.
Ooh.
And I mean, as much as I disliked him, he by far played the best BB21 game. And so just throwing it out there.
Jackson Mickey was a lot more reserved, though. Like, Zach's being a lot more flashier.
Yeah.
And it's going to bite him in the rear end. Like, I don't know. Any one of those girls get HOH. He's going up. Right? He'll probably be backdoored.
Well, he might, but I mean, are people going to be, does he have the numbers to keep himself safe? Because as of right now, I think that he does.
Look, you put him up against Ty. I think that's the move because Claudia will be campaigning to keep Ty around. and it's basically Claudia and Ty against the world at that point. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it would really just depend on scenarios, as our friend Jose would say. All right, but immediately coming in from this HOH comp, we get Hope, and he is hopeless in this moment.
this is so tough.
And he is just so upset with himself because what he wanted to do coming into this house was not to win Big Brother,
No.
but to be really good at competitions to help the guys.
Let's take it a step further. What he wanted to do is show Canada his strength so that he grows his business. And if he doesn't show the Canada his strength, then he came to Big Brother for no reason. It's not about helping the guys.
Well, but he wants to help the guys. And I mean, I'm just like, what? And Kuzi is just sitting there not latching on to these words. And I need her to latch on to him specifically saying that he wants to win for the guys.
I think she is latching on though. Like she was in there, she heard that. She must have clocked it. But I think that for Kuzi, I wonder if Kuzi's playing the Zach game but smart.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Kuzi's creating the same types of relationships that Zach is creating, but we don't see it, we don't hear it. It's not big. It's not like it just is what it is. And maybe he's playing for the guys, but if he's telling her that means he's also playing for her.
Yeah.
And look, it's also a pretty big sort of there's power in the knowledge of her knowing that. And, she could use that whenever she needs, whenever she likes.
And I think you're seeing issues with people raising words about confrontation about that. John Michael literally got put on the block for saying, wait a minute, the guys, let's get them out. They almost switched our target to Renee last week. She said, yeah, I'm kind of worried about the guys. So he's saying, I want to do it for the boys. She could either say the guys and throw herself in trouble, or she can say, you know what, ignore that. I am here for you. I am your connection. I've got you. We've got this. And I think that's a better strategy, whether she clicked it or not.
Love it. That's a really good, insightful thought. Just not what I want to see happen. But we get a DR from Dan, our HOH. Literally almost can't remember his name. And he says that initially, he kind of wanted to target floaters because he doesn't want to take out the big threats. And then everyone realized that he's a big threat. But now maybe he wants to target threats. I'm like,
okay, when this floater says that, I was kind of worried about floaters. My DJ brain is just like, wiki, what? I just don't understand how he has absolutely zero clue what's going on in the entire game. People can literally tell him, spell it out for him. And he's just like, wait, what did you say I should do? And that's like,
oh, I should put up Hope and Renee. Okay.
But here's the thing, you have these people that obviously did not apply to Big Brother. Hope did not apply to Big Brother. Hope was definitely recruited. Dan did not apply for Big Brother. Dan was obviously recruited. You got these people playing the game, and their goal is not playing a game. Their goal is their business, their brand, potential things that come out of the game. It's not the game. And I find it really hard to sometimes watch because it's not like we're watching season 1 of Big Brother Canada. We're watching season 11 of Big Brother Canada, season 20-something of BB. You got 30+ seasons of data that you can look at. He hasn't watched one. He doesn't fully have the ability to connect what's going on, and you just got a one man who has a bit of a tone that he knows something, comes into his HOH room and tells him, takes out some gummy bears and shows him a picture, and he goes, wow, Jesus came today and he told me everything about the future. It just, I'd rather be there. Ryan, you should be there. It's just so
you
sad.
Don't understand. Green gummy's good. Orange gummy bad. I don't understand why you don't.
White gummy. This one is the one that's gonna poison you.
Careful.
All right. We do get Claudia, Anika, Kuzi talking, and they realize, oh shit, like Zach is close to Dan, and Zach is close to everyone. Like maybe we shouldn't have voted out John Michael.
Good morning.
Wow. Wow, girls. Yes. Correct. You should not have voted out John Michael. And so I mean it's perplexing because like I said, they can see it and they know what's happening, but it's like they're, just gonna just keep getting railroaded.
I'm getting
Is this-
serious season 7 flashbacks right here. That's all I'm saying.
Alright.
Of the pretty boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where everyone's just like, there's a guys alliance, and then did absolutely nothing the entire time.
Is there like some real potential that these ladies
Mhm.
they just want to make the jury, and they're happy? Like is that part of what's going on with sometimes in Big Brother? That they don't actually care about playing the game; they just want to stay as long as they can, so they stay for the full season and make some cash.
Yeah, I
Could
mean, I
that
think
be
that's
it?
some of it. The longer that they're there, the, more money that they probably get and exposure and all that crap. And I mean, I think that the women have way more game knowledge than the men do, but they're
Yes.
so afraid. All right. But
But,
on the
like,
flip side of this, we get Zach, Ty, and Santina talking in the pantry, I suppose is what y'all call that, with the Wendy's menu. All right. And they say that they want to go big fish hunting. And Santina is like, "Oh, who's the big fish? Like, I was the HOH last week, and we are all in an alliance together, and y'all are going to share your information for me." And they're basically like, "You'll find out when you find out." I'm like, Santina, once again, like I'm exasperated, y'all. I'm exasperated by these women.
well, they don't say you'll find out when you find out. They're just like, oh, you know. And then they like wait a while, and she's like, and they're like, oh, you know. And she's like, and then they finally do give her the information, and she's just like,
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'll do that if it works. If we can get it done.
yeah. But can
Yeah,
I massage
okay,
his face
sure.
one more time before we do it? That's
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
count.
yeah. Now I do want to bring up this point. Like we saw the little tiff between Ty and Claudia over Claudia wearing Rob's sweater. Do
What the
y'all think that this, because I mean, obviously, like we're getting this setup of like Rob being the ultimate target for the week, which, is kind of contradictory to everything that we're saying because we're like, go for a bro. And I mean, a bro is the ultimate target, but it's the outside bro that, isn't really
Kylie, he's
of the
pretty.
inner circle.
Why would you want to vote him out? He's pretty, Kylie.
I mean, I would not want to vote him out. I
Kylie,
choose
Rob,
not to.
Rob or Gino?
Rob.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow,
But
that's you were like
Yeah.
drooling over Gino.
yeah, no, Rob. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so, but do we think that this turn of Rob being in with the bros, do we think this has anything to do with a little bit of jealousy from our boy Ty?
It's a nice,
Ooh.
yeah,
Or is
yeah.
it just all Zach manipulation?
I think it's mostly Zach manipulation, but I
I
think
think Ty had an option to go against it and go, nah, bro, we're good. And he definitely had the chance to shut it down, and he didn't. So there's that. I think the thing that makes me doubt that is the fact that he's telling Claudia absolutely nothing about his game.
Yeah.
So if he was telling Claudia, yeah, you're with me, like, I got you, just, I don't trust Rob. He's not saying he doesn't trust Rob. He's saying, I want to make out with you, but game
But
can
we're
go
not
over
talking
that way.
game. Yeah, you're not a
If there
bro.
was any game relation to it, then I think he would do that. I think he's very much so separating them.
and I don't really understand how you could play a game like this like that. Like part of being in any type of romantic relationship is trust. The world that they're living in is the Big Brother game, and if you can't trust each other in the Big Brother game, how could you trust to sleep with each other? How could you trust to hold like how could you trust that any conversation that you have that is deep, that is intimate, is real? So I just don't understand. I don't. And I think Claudia wants to do that, wants to have those things. And Ty is very taking a step back, not wanting to go there. To answer your question, I think that Zach very simply looks at. I think Zach is not a long-term thinker. I think Zach is a very short term. His gut says do something, he's going to do it. I think he realizes that within his group of guys, Rob is the closest thing to where he is, strength wise, mental strategy,
and an independent thinker.
And an
You know,
independent
we've seen some of these confessionals with Rob where I don't think he is entirely on board with the bros.
100%.
You see that in their conversations too. You see him sort of like pull Jonathan, who I forgot was there, but is in fact there, to the side. And you sort of see them pulling like their own little bro duo against like the Ty and Zach duo. So I think Broco is about to have like a divorce. So.
Yeah.
And honestly, like maybe this will end up being for the better of the ladies. Like let them eat themselves. Like, you know, if Rob is spending the most time with the guys, which means he could see the cracks in the guys the most, let Zach get rid of the guys himself.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we get Dan talking with Hope, and Hope is once again just expressing to Dan, like, I just wanted to prove to the guys that I'm valuable. And you know what? Because I have failed, you can put me up. And Dan's like, whoa, like I've been HOH for 3 minutes and 17 seconds, and I just got someone volunteering. Like, this is amazing.
I'm amazing at this game.
I'm great at this game. What? Wow, okay, that's an easy decision. Like, if I'm HOH and somebody volunteers, I don't give two shits if they then later change their mind, like we're going to see Hope do a little bit later. You are going on the block. You said it. It's happening. I don't care who you are.
But again, this is the craziness of putting a Hope into the game. Somebody who just doesn't care about the game.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be saying these things. I'm sorry. If anybody should be saying these things, it should be Vanessa. It should be a parent. It should be somebody who's sad about what's going on outside. Like I didn't show my muscles, and I didn't get to show you how good. Like this is such.
And
bullshit.
I mean, he builds basketball courts. Like, he has seriously effed up, and he has ruined his reputation.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh, Hope, there's so many more things. Like, all right. Anyways, so we do get one more really, really interesting conversation that I want to spend some time talking about. And that is this conversation between Daniel and Anika. And they pretty well clock some things. And they're like, you know, the guys, the bros, they kind of have this thing, but there's this other little thing kind of forming with Nene and Claudia and Renee. And, you know, I don't know if this is like a set thing, but like, there's these two groups, but then there's all these people in the middle. And Daniel identifies them as himself, Anika, Vanessa, and Kuzi. And I'm like, yes, like, you know, like you can play from the middle. That's a great position to be. But you have to really make these two things. You have to make fetch happen. And you have to make these two groups realize, like, oh my gosh, Zach, like Renee and her little posse, and oh my gosh, Renee, Zach and these guys. And the middle is a great place to be in that scenario. And, you know, Daniel is a super fan and really have high hopes for him and the things that he said preseason that he wants to do. So I'm like, okay.
Like, now I'm seeing it.
If I give this episode an F as a grand grade, then I'm going to give this conversation, will bump it up to a D-. Slight hope here.
Here's the thing. As I said, I know Daniel. I've played with Daniel before. This guy knows what he's doing. He's not an idiot. I think he's probably a little bit frustrated that he doesn't have power right now. Mm-hmm. But I also think he's played games enough that he understands that just because he doesn't have power now doesn't mean he can't have power later. It doesn't mean he could position himself in a place to gain power. And him sitting back, watching what's going on around him, watching other people take shots at each other, which is probably going to happen over the next few weeks, is gold for him while he's creating his own little army. Anika, bestest of friend, probably. I know nothing about Anika still, and she was on the block last week, but best friend. Kuzi, maybe another best friend, probably a little bit louder, a little bit more of an edge than Daniel has. So who goes between the two of them? Kuzi over Daniel. So I think he's positioning himself right now in a really fantastic position.
Yeah.
I will say, though, about Anika, though, I think she's going to make some serious moves and make some damage in this game. Like, because everybody's already talking about she's not a threat, she's not doing anything, but she's also very direct in saying, I want this to happen. Let's do it. Let's do this. And she can do that and still have everyone think that she's a non-factor. Then that gives her a lot of agency. She might not be like a favorite to win by any jury standards or anything like that. But she is putting herself in a position where people won't target her, yet has agency to throw names out, cause chaos, and turn people against each other. I think she will have a lot of agency in this game, whether people respect it or not.
And once again, I'm going to draw another BB21 parallel because I get Jessica Milagros vibes. And I'm like, she, like Jessica knew what was going on, but she never was in a position to do anything. And then she got that 1 week where she got power and she nominates Jack and Jackson Mickey. And, Jack gets the boot and, you break up half of the douchebags. And so.
Was that the Royal Alliance name? The douchebag?
Yes. She voted out the douche of the bags. And so I'm hopeful that Anika has that upside because she definitely sees the game and understands the game way more than she is being credited for from, what do you know, Zach. All right. Speaking of the devil, it is time for Dan's Wendy's breakfast date. And of course, he's going to bring Zach because Zach is his number one. First of all, I'm sure y'all have talked about it, but I haven't been here. Have either of y'all ever had Wendy's breakfast?
It's disgusting.
Never had it.
It's yucky. Really? Don't do it. If you're going to Wendy's, there's only one thing you should get.
Yeah. So I always get burgers, even if it's like 6 a.m. in the morning. So
does Wendy's serve all day?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't normally go to Wendy's, but
yeah, I don't go to Wendy's very often, period. But if I do go to Wendy's, I'm definitely not going for breakfast because
and if it
I'm
gets
not
me
gonna lie.
casted though, Wendy's is my favorite thing ever, and I will.
I'm not gonna lie. If
Wendy's
your girl,
greatest advertiser.
if your girl is up early enough to be getting breakfast out of the house, then I'm probably going to Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A's breakfast slaps.
What's Chick-fil-A breakfast?
Chicken biscuits.
Ugh,
and chicken minis. Oh my gosh.
It's literally chickens and it has
it's a biscuit with a little piece of fried chicken on it, and you slap some American cheese on that hoe, and
wow,
delicious.
Yeah. They just opened a Chick-fil-A. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th in the city, like 10 minutes away. Shall I go for breakfast?
Tomorrow.
Can I say the only thing I like there, don't judge me, is their salads.
They have great salads.
Great salads. Just putting that out there. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, no, I love Chick-fil-A, but if I'm going for breakfast, that's what I'm getting. All right, but
I'm gonna pull a koozie and just like you said that I'm just gonna ignore it, but I'm here for you.
Why? Why? What's wrong with Chick-fil-A?
No reason.
I honestly do. Okay, is there? Okay,
well, we're not going to get into any.
We're not going to get into. That's not a Big Brother thing.
Okay, it sounds like there's things I do not know about Chick-fil-A. I love it.
Moving on. All right. So it is time for Zach to toot his own horn. And now, listen here, Dan. I am smart. Yes. I am rich. And I know Big Brother. What? How are any of these things relevant?
Those are like my 3 favorite things. Plus, he's a green gummy.
So, a la Marty, we're going to see the gummies. And, all right, Dan, I'm a numbers guy. So, we're going to put this out here in some gummy numbers, and we're going to go through everybody, and I'm going to tell you how you feel about them so that you do what I want you to do. How's that sound?
I think I want to put Roberto up here. There we go. Problem solved.
So what we're gonna do with this Roberto gummy is we're gonna bite his head off. And so Dan kind of lays out his game a little bit of like, oh, I feel really good about, like Koozie and who else? He says like Vanessa, and he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Those people are great. Obviously, I'm your number one. But what you need to know is Renee, she's not here for you. And Hope volunteered. Great. Take that. But this gummy bear with no head that I just bit off, this is your problem. And Dan's
Too many
like,
facials.
It is. This is it.
What I will say though is that nothing he kind of said there was wrong, because Rob did say something about not being sure about Dan. So it's not like Zach actually lied to him. That's not the case, and that's got to be Rob's fault. Again, maybe he overtrusted Zach in that moment. Maybe he was a little bit too complicated in that moment. But to me, the issue with what's going on is less what Dan is doing and more how he's doing it. Like, he was so clearly disrespectful to Dan. He was such a dick to Dan in that moment, and Dan didn't pick it up. He just thought he was getting a lesson from his big brother on Big Brother.
He got big brothered.
He got big brother.
So he, basically lays it out like, you should nominate Renee. You should nominate Hope because he volunteered. And let's show our good buddy Rob Roberto the back door. And like I said, in the layout of the game, if I were to lay my gummies out of how I want the game to transpire, obviously for the girls, taking a bro out is good. But we don't want it to be Roberto. A, he's hot. B, he is the one that definitely seems like he has his head in the game a little bit more, and he's just not completely narrow-minded, sighted in with doing whatever Zach wants to do. He has a mind of his own, and that is a problem for Zach. And so, you have to give Zach credit, as terrible as it is and as hard as it is for me to say that.
Agreed.
Like you said, he took information that Rob gave him and is using it against him.
And I think the nominations are set in a perfect way for him to get his plan, because Comp Least Renee is not winning that veto. I love her, but she is not winning that veto. Hope could win. People like Hope, they could take him down. Yeah. Girls, even if they think Rob is hot, it's Renee.
Yeah.
Who would vote out Renee?
Right.
Other than like people who want him out. So I could see Zach trying to switch halfway through, saying, "Oh yeah, he's a bro now," because of like one thing that somebody said.
He might change his mind, because we've seen that happen a little bit.
The one thing that does confuse me about what Zach is doing is, wouldn't you rather the devil you know than the devil you don't? So, I think he has a read on who Rob is, what he's doing. He's completely forgetting that there are other threats in the house than Rob. And at least for the short term, Rob's willing to work with him. There's other people. So I just don't understand. He seems to be playing a short-term game no matter what he does.
Right.
Is that a purposeful thing? Or does he
I don't think he's purposeful. I think he is greatly overestimating himself. And while he has had success 2 weeks in a row, it is inevitable that someone is going to win HOH. It is going to happen. Someone is going to win HOH that does not care what Zach says. Yeah. And he is in deep shit when they do.
Yep.
I feel like it's going to be Anika. She's going to win like a random chance one, and she's going to go, bam, biggest target on the block.
But even and she won't get credit for it.
Yeah, no, she won't.
Get rid of him, and then people will be like, "Oh, who's Anika?"
Yeah. But our boy Rob, he goes up to have a conversation with John. Such an awkward conversation.
Yeah.
Doesn't do a good job pitching himself to Rob's game. Doesn't offer anything valuable to him, and he leaves the room, and Dan's like, oh, Zach's right. Zach's right. This is a problem.
But you can sort of see it on their faces where they're both like, trying to suss it out. And it's sort of like Dan has come to his conclusion first and is searching for evidence to support it rather than let me take in the evidence and come to my own conclusion.
Yeah.
And you can sort of see that going on in his mind. So
we also get Hope briefly talking where you can tell he's kind of like, oh shit, I regret this, but doesn't even really broach it from what we get to see. But one more really important conversation is going to happen, and y'all hit on it a little bit, and that is that Ty and Claudia are in the billiards room with Colonel Mustard and the lead pipe. And
Ooh.
and
Or was it throat?
Claudia's like, well, I mean, what do you think he's going to do? And Ty's like, well, I know it's not going to be me. And she's like, well, it's probably going to be Santina, right? Like Santina nominated him last week. And he's like, no. She's like, okay. He's like, you'll see. Claudia, of all of the people that I'm having problems with, you have to be number one. Like, first of all, there are so many red flags from this man. The first time you are in a non-relationship with a man and he gets mad at you over wearing somebody else's clothing of another man that you met 2 days ago, you better run the fuck away. Because, baby, if he is doing this to you in the BBCAN house, it is not set up well for outside of the house. Okay. And I think that the only breakup we have ever actually fully seen inside of a Big Brother house is in BBCAN, and we're going to need that to happen again.
But they're not in a relationship.
Well, I mean, exactly. They're not even in a relationship, and Homeboy is like throwing up some major red flags. And then in a relationship stance, he's got red flags. But then in a game sense, girl, he is not giving you anything. He wants you to give him information, which she's not giving him either, thankfully.
It's giving me season 18 of BBUS Polly Zakia vibes. And that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's weird, and I have to say it's all Ty. It's not her. Like
Right.
that. Like she seems in it. Like she wants to try this out. She wants to have fun. She wants to play with him in the game. Like she and I don't understand. Like what spell does Zach have on these people? Like how is he more in love with Zach than Claudia? Like how is this a possibility? Claudia's gorgeous. She's obviously extremely bright. She's a player in the game. And one thing in the last episode of this podcast, Kevin called this the Montagues versus the Capulets. It's on one side you got one family working together, the guys. The other side you have another family working together, the girls. They are set up in such a perfect position so that they are the ones that are targeting the other side but avoiding all of the fire because they're both on each side. They can control this game together, but Ty's not helping her set this up. Ty's not helping this actually happen. Like it's such a poor game move for him, and like, come on, they would have been such a cute couple, but we don't trust this. I don't trust them.
No, we do not stand this.
I have a different take on it game-wise, because I feel like we see showmances in so many different Big Brother seasons, and more often than not, it blows up in their faces. I don't mind we're doing our personal relationship, but our game is separate. That doesn't bother me. And we do see it on both sides. We do see Claudia not sharing stuff with Ty. We do see Ty not sharing stuff with Claudia.
Because he doesn't share with her.
Are there red flags? On a social level, absolutely. But on the game level, okay, I like you, you like me, but this is a game. I can vote you out. We can make out later. That doesn't bother me.
No, that doesn't bother me either. But it bothers me in that because Claudia wants it so badly, and for it to not be there and for her to not be picking up on it, I'm like, just please figure it out. All right. But our girl Renee goes up. She has her little conversation with Dan. My audio, because we're in the Americas, and my audio kind of bleeped up for this. So I can't
it's kind of
really
crazy.
tell you.
I live in North America too.
Wow.
We're all in the Americas?
We are. Anyway, so I don't exactly know what Renee says to him and what impression she gets, because I had like a little 3 or 4 minute spell here where I couldn't exactly understand what was
Well,
happening.
basically, what we get here, Kylie, is exactly the same thing that we've gotten from their conversation. A whole heck of a lot of her prodding and him not saying shit.
Okay,
And,
great.
and her not trusting him and saying I like him, but he's not telling me he doesn't want to play with me. We're not playing together. Nothing new.
Okay, cool. So time to make nominations, and I did see a little clip of like how they're actually like doing the nominations and how they're like drawing vetoes and stuff. Really, really cool. I mean, in aspects, I'm glad that we don't waste so much of the time, of like the pomp and circumstance of Big Brother that we get in BBUS, but then also like because I feel like BBCAN does all their stuff so cool, I kind of want to see it.
How do they do it? Explain.
I can't remember. I don't know if I've seen how they do the nominations, but for veto, it was like a game board, and they have to like pick up a piece from the game board and like pull off the bottom, and that is who is playing in the veto comp.
I'm sure when there's a week where they have time, they'll be showing us this.
Yeah,
I like
hopefully,
it.
because it's
Final
cool.
five.
It's cool, and it's just part of the thought that they put into it. But yeah, so time for nominations. Hope, take a seat, obviously, because you volunteered. And Renee. And Renee is clutching her pearls, taken aback.
Her pearls.
Her pearls. Okay? She is flabbergasted that this man.
Her girls, like
Yeah. Clutching it all. So
her bouquet.
her bouquet is back on the block again after her bouquet just got off of it. But did Dan give her the impression that she would not be going up?
Oh.
Huh? Totally?
No.
Okay.
I don't
Dan
think
didn't
so.
give anyone any impressions, which is why everyone was nervous the entire time.
Yeah.
Except for Ty.
I also there is this thing that happens in Big Brother where you know if you're the first person or first few people nominated, it just becomes really easy to put you up.
Mhm.
And she knew that obviously, but I also think that she's the perfect person to go up because she's horrible at competitions. She
Right.
doesn't seem to be strategically strong either. It's not like we've got some master genius there either. So I don't know. She should be feeling pretty safe on the block whenever she's up, anyways.
Right.
That's
I mean,
okay.
it sucks. And I mean, it is really detrimental to her game because obviously people are not going to talk a lot of game to her whenever she may be getting voted out for the second week in a row. So really, really sucks for her. But if, Dan's big plan, if Dan the man's big plan is to get Rob, the heartthrob, out of the house,
Too much.
then that's impressive. Okay. But for real, if that is his plan, then
Hold on. You literally just pulled it down. You said, I'm really smart. I'm really impressive what I just said. Hey, Zach.
So, Sheldon, what I did was I took words that rhymed together and then I put another word after it that also rhymed. I
Yeah.
don't know if you understand how rhymes work.
Oh, please explain.
Like Renee Boutet. Renee Boutet.
Yes.
That one's a keeper. That's my new.
I'm
reference
really
for her.
smart and I'm really rich.
Sorry.
And I'm a big brother. All right. So these are our nominations. Obviously, we know that the big target is Roberto. Everybody, just moment of silence. Okay.
And why again do we not want Roberto to go, Kylie?
Because Roberto is attractive and Roberto has a mind of his own. We want it to be Zach.
I do like the mind of his own, and he is playing more than a lot of other people.
Yeah. But in the big scheme of things, I want it to be a man. So if it has to be Roberto, well,
Why are you so what's going on with you? You want it to be a
I'm
man.
a
Who
feminist.
cares?
I'm a feminist.
Since when are you a feminist? You're like the opposite of feminist.
All right. So we are setting up for an interesting veto episode tonight that has already aired, but we have not watched because we watched Survivor instead. And now
Can
we're
we get
doing
some
the
spoilers
podcast.
here? Can we get some spoilers?
No spoilers.
Why not?
Bum, 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 bum. Just kidding. now it's time for some spoilers. So Sheldon, take us away.
Oh,
What has happened in the veto comp?
So I didn't watch the dailies, the digital dailies, because I don't like that. But I will say that the person who won the veto was Zach, our favorite man in the house. Zach won the veto, used the veto, and removed. Who do you think he removed from the block, folks?
Hope.
He removed Hope from the block, and guess who went up in Hope's place?
Our
Albert.
boy.
Oh, the guy that you have a very short memory. You were in mad love with Gino. You wanted to do some crazy things to Gino, and now it's like he doesn't even exist.
Well,
I don't know. I have to tell Gino about
I
it.
am a floozy.
You're a feminist floozy.
I am.
So just as that white gummy bear was a big threat in that HOH room, that white gummy bear is now up on the block. And the real question is who's going home this week? Is it Rob or is it Renee from Vaughan just down the street from me? Who will
Is
it be?
it Heartthrob Rob or Renee Boutet?
Correct. So
Those are the only names we can refer to them.
Yeah, I mean, I did not, like I said, I'm not watching the digital dailies because I don't have time. But I am reading Hamster Watch's recaps of them, and it definitely sounds like there is a little bit of resistance, la resistance, to the Rob vote, just like we saw a little bit with John Michael. But does it actually pan out and get put into place? Because I've got my serious doubts. Just from what I know of the house dynamics, I feel worried for Roberto.
100%. I think Roberto's going. And another beautiful resume item for our least favorite friend, Zachary. I think his business needs him around. So I think it's time for him to leave the house.
But like I said, I like to have someone to root against, and he is very, very, very much rootable againstable. And
see, Sheldon, that's called a rhyme.
Thank
yes. And so, it's very, very easy to, you want him out like every single week. And until he does something like real life that, from everything that we've seen, and I highly doubt unless there is some huge blow up moment, we're not going to get anything about this man that would jeopardize anything in his real life. And so, he is going to just be kind of like a TV villain that right now we don't know the why behind his villainous. We just know that he is who he is and we want him out. But I am here to root against somebody. I like it.
You don't think that he was like I thought his behavior last week with Santino was almost, if not actually, crossing the line. It felt disgusting. It felt yucky.
It did. It felt all of those things, but I'm also, despite being a feminist, I am not very.
Who are you?
I am not very big with team let's cancel folks in real life. Like, I think that needs to be reserved for, the errands of the world. And,
No, I'm not saying let's cancel folks. I'm just saying that, look, he hasn't physically assaulted anybody. He hasn't spoken hate speech. But what he has done is now 2 HOHs in a row, he's taken somebody less powerful than himself and basically, I think
manipulated them. But I think that's in the confines of the game. I think it's okay.
I think that's okay, but I think from Santina's case, it was more than manipulate. It was disrespect. It was, and again, that's legal. You're allowed to disrespect people. But I don't know, Santina to me just felt like
it was objectively rude and very mansplaining, but it's not like the worst thing. He's an ass, but other than that, I think it's that.
Yeah, I think he is in bounds of the game. I just don't like him. So that's all that matters. All right.
Let him manspread his influence, okay?
So we will be back tomorrow
we will.
8 Central to talk a little Survivor. Had a really interesting episode tonight. I am excited to talk about that.
I
I
haven't
am not
watched.
telling you anything.
No spoilers.
Really interesting episode. Can't wait to talk about that tomorrow night. And then we will be back live Friday to talk about the veto and HOH episodes of BBCAN 11. So,
Yes.
Sheldon, Ryan, anything to plug?
Yeah, check us out on For the Fans. Well, what is it? What are we supposed to be checking us out on, Kylie?
All of the socials.
All of the socials. Check us out at For the Fans Reality. Don't check me out anywhere because I'm a loner.
He's a private person.
I'm a very private person.
Ryan, what you got going on?
Watch Big Brother Maryland season 5 on YouTube. First 4 episodes are out now. Episode 5 coming soon.
Awesome. All right. Well, make sure you like and subscribe so you get a notification every time we go live. And we will see all you guys tomorrow. Bye, y'all.
Bye.